Is a new PSP handheld console a good idea? Well, there is some rumours swirling about that one is on the way, and it might not even be playing PlayStation 5 games. So let's see what this new rival to the Switch 2 or Steam Deck is all about. While the PlayStation Portable, aka the PSP, couldn't match the Nintendo DS in terms of overall sales volumes, Sony's first jump into the handheld market was still hugely successful, with the PSP being some players' favourite handheld console ever, as it did have an absolutely stacked game library. Unfortunately, the Vita didn't have as stacked a games library, otherwise I think it would have taken that top spot for many gamers, as the Vita is just a stunning device. But enough about that, we'll talk about Vita another time. So the PSP nearly sold 80 million units worldwide, even if the majority of that was in Japan, where it was a roaring success. Unfortunately for Sony, their interest in handhelds seemed to come to a halt after the failure of the PS Vita, which I love and still play to this day. I just don't know how it was not more successful, probably due to some silly Sony decisions like using proprietary memory, which was really expensive, and not having it being, USB chargeable, having a horrible charger with the first version. Sony, what were you thinking? Anyways, the Vita was estimated to have sold only between 10 and 15 million units during its short 4-year lifespan from 2011 to 2015. I cannot believe that was when the Vita was out. So we're closing in on 10 years since production stopped for that. Could be nice for it to make a return with a new version. What do you think? Let me know down below in the comments. Since then, Sony has dabbled in the handheld devices, kind of, most notably with the PlayStation Portal, which is used to stream PlayStation 5 games through remote play and has been selling really well, probably better than they expected, and seems to be sold out everywhere all the time. So that is good news for a potential future legit Sony based handheld. Which leads us on to these new reports which suggest Sony might be planning to launch an entirely new portable console. This rumour comes from Russian insider Anton Logvinov, who previously leaked PC ports of Death Stranding and Horizon Zero Dawn. In a post on Reset Era, Logvinov claims Sony is gearing up to launch a new PSP which will be able to run, and wait for it, able to run PlayStation 4 games. Yes, you heard that right. Kind of surprising, but let's dive in a little deeper. The post notes that there are only PlayStation 4 games on the console's launch lineup, but it's unclear whether the system will support games from other PlayStation formats like PlayStation 1, 2, and 3, and even maybe PlayStation 5, which we'll touch on in a second. The positive of this is, however, that unlike the PlayStation Portal, games on this device, which we will just call the Vita 2 for simplicity, will be played natively and so don't require streaming to work. So that means no internet's required, just get the game on the device and then you can play it. You're not streaming it from your console, which is a big win. Especially for people who have rubbish internet or do not want to deal with streaming or want a really truly portable handheld PlayStation gaming device, this could be right up your street. And this rumour didn't come out of nowhere either. In February this year, YouTuber MURRRAAAAY, who leaked the PlayStation 5 Pro specs, also claimed Sony is in early development on a handheld device, which is at least 2 years out. He also claimed that the device would be able to run PlayStation 4 games natively, as well as certain PlayStation 5 games at a lower resolution with a patch. Interesting. What do we think about that? I think that could work if you think about a portable device with a smaller screen real estate. Lower res games, less pixels on a smaller screen can still look really sharp. I think that could work well. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Also, I don't know if this is coincidence or not, but Sony Interactive Entertainment in Japan recently posted a job listing for a role within its system software development team, which describes creating a system to allow entertainment game consoles to run on game consoles with different architectures. Interesting. Sounds like some kind of emulation there, doesn't it? Maybe we'll get to emulate previous gen or even future PlayStation 5, PlayStation 6 games, who knows, on this lesser powered handheld. More specifically, though, it refers to enabling a large number of game titles developed for PlayStation to run on the new architecture system, which might be in reference to the rumoured handheld. Or this could be to do with the PlayStation 6 having full backwards compatibility and it potentially being on a completely different configuration. I'm thinking this might be ARM based. If that's the case, then it would need to emulate all the previous PlayStation games. Could be cool. What do you think? ARM seems to do a good job of emulation. You see that with Mac, for example, MacBook Pros and things like that. So this could be cool. Very exciting times ahead. And then when you consider Nintendo's huge success with the Switch, and now with Valve's Steam Deck, it makes sense that other companies would chase the same hybrid console format, or at least just a handheld, to take a little piece of that huge gaming handheld market pie. Microsoft is already rumoured to be developing an Xbox handheld of some sort, so it's definitely possible that Sony has one on the cards also. If this does turn out to be true, this increased competition might cause some small problems for Nintendo's successor to the Switch, aka the Switch 2, which is expected to be announced before April 2025. But then again, the PSP launched alongside the technically inferior Nintendo DS, which went on to become the best-selling portable console ever. Which just leads us back to the fact that games sell consoles, not teraflops. So this brings us back around nicely to our original question. Do we need or want a PlayStation Portable like device which can play PlayStation 4 games on it? I'm intrigued by this. I would love to see Sony go back into the proper handheld market, but there is one big caveat here. They need to really, really support this. A PSP which plays PlayStation 4 games. I really like this idea, just like I hope you really like this video, so please leave it a thumbs up if you do. If it uses the same games and software that the home console, say the PlayStation 5, the PlayStation 5 Pro, or even the PlayStation 6 when it may launch alongside it, who knows. If it supports the same games there, I see this having a far better chance of being successful, unlike previous gens where they had the PSP and the PS Vita, where it was separate games were being developed for it, and then Sony lost interest with the Vita because it didn't sell as well, and all focus went to the PlayStation 4. Far higher chance of that not happening if it is the same kind of model as the Switch, where all the developers just make the games for the one system and it can run on the PlayStation Portable 2 and also on the PlayStation 5 or 6. I think that's got a good chance to be successful, but what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Are you just like, nah, I'm not interested? It depends on the price. What if it was $300-400? Would that be too much, too little? The Portal comes in at $200, but it's just a streaming device, so I do not see them managing to get a full-on handheld you can play games natively on anywhere near that price. I think $300 would be the lowest they would go. If they go much higher though, they're closing in on the price of the home console. It is going to be interesting times ahead, but you better believe Sony will want involved in this. If Microsoft launch one, Steam is going absolutely full steam ahead, no pun intended, with the Steam Deck. It is just crushing everything right now. So it's going to be interesting and I would love to see it happen. Let me know if you would. And if you want to hear about the details which we just brushed over in this video about the Vita 2, or it might be the PSP 2 and its technical specs, check out this video on screen right now for more info.